Good morning and welcome to today's Smart Business Strategies podcast. I am Anna Wilds, the franchise economist, and today I have a very special guest with us, Joe Janukaitis. Joe is with Z Plumbers, a BELFOR company. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me today, Anna. I greatly appreciate this opportunity to talk about our plumbing franchise through the BELFOR franchise group, Z Plumbers.
You know what? When you were telling me about it just before the podcast, I really learned a lot. I found it very interesting. So, audience, hang on. Expect to have your eyes opened and maybe your jaw drop. All right. So, Joe, start us off by telling us a little bit about you and Z Plumbers.
Absolutely. As I mentioned in the opening, we are lucky enough to be the plumbing franchise opportunity here at the BELFOR franchise group. BELFOR is our parent company, and for those of you who are not familiar with BELFOR is the world's largest restoration contractor. And what they do...
Largest.
Absolutely. We're 44 countries worldwide. We focus on the main projects after hurricanes, forest fires, the issues in North Carolina with all the flooding. BELFOR really jumps in, and their motto is restoring what matters. So that's what they do, and we are very, very lucky to be one of the 13 family brand sister franchises that are owned by the BELFOR franchise group, which again is a subsidiary of the BELFOR company.
A multi-billion with a B dollar a year in business in and of itself. What I find it fascinating is that that BELFOR owns 13 different specialty restoration franchises. So if there's a niche within restoration, BELFOR's got it covered. And as you said, you own the house. So that's fantastic. All right. Well, help the audience understand, Joe, what makes Z Plumbers itself different from other franchises in the restoration category?
Absolutely. That is a great question. And really, besides our BELFOR relationship, it's really how we look at plumbing. And our franchisees have, we call it 4 different verticals. Some people call it business segments, but we really take the $125 billion annual plumbing industry, and
what was that $125 billion a year industry?
Absolutely, and that's annual, just in the United States. It's massive, and honestly, if you think about it, 99.6% of people in the United States, they have plumbing. Every person we're talking to today, they have faucets, toilets, bathrooms, even you go to restaurants. So really how we differentiate ourselves is we focus not just solely on one element in the plumbing industry. Our 4 verticals, we have drain cleaning. So that's very important. Obviously, that's a huge section of the plumbing industry. We have what we call retail plumbing, which is basically the plumber in the field going and focusing on that customer and whatever their service issue is. A lot of plumbing companies call that service. We call it retail because what we want to do is we want to make sure that plumber in the field is comfortable walking the customer through all kinds of different options that may fit their needs better. So, that's really important. And that's really where we start all of our plumbing companies. We focus on those 2 verticals. And then what we do is, yes, ma'am.
So the retail is what you call the break and fix segment
of the plumbing
industry. Is that right? Okay. So that in and of itself can keep somebody busy all the time.
Very busy. Absolutely. And our 3rd vertical is what we call project plumbing. 2 or more plumbers, 2 or more days. A lot of times that's where our BELFOR relationship comes in. Because obviously if, they even have call outs where we'll go and do national jobs where we will assist them with some of their large projects. And then really a unique vertical that we've kind of specialized in, and we call it Trenchless Technologies. And what that is it really comes from that first vertical, that drain cleaning, where we recognize old cast and clay pipes that are deteriorating in under the ground, and we can offer solutions such as pipe lining, pipe coating, pipe bursting, and I think you and I had this conversation.
Yeah,
You're very familiar with that fourth vertical.
yes, I can tell you it's fascinating, and it saves the homeowner or the business owner whoever's pipes are clogged a lot of money. So Joe, I'm going to give it a whirl. I'm going to explain it to the audience. So trenchless means you don't have to dig a trench from your house to the street when it connects to the city sewer. And is this right? Every 3 feet there's a joint, and that's when tree roots get in there and clog it. So instead of having to dig up the whole drain all the way to the street, I mean, you'd have to break up our driveway, pave it, go through our front yard, do a new fence, do new landscape, all that sort of stuff. So what Trenchless Technologies does, it goes inside the existing pipe and puts a poly pipe in there. And so that's like the new pipe that goes on the inside. It's fascinating. We had it done, and we're happy customers with it.
Absolutely. And you're perfect. You know, you explained it perfect, and that's exactly what it is. And tell the audience why you decided to do that, because you started looking at the things that were above ground.
Oh
and you
God.
decided, well, there's a lot of money we'd have to rip up and replace. You know, I think you had mentioned that part of your driveway's over that.
The driveway all the way to and our house sits back from the street like a good bit more than most. We're not in a suburban neighborhood. We're in an old timey like neighborhood that just grew up 150 years ago. So they didn't have, I guess they had sewers back then, but they didn't have indoor plumbing when this house was built. So yes, it was a tremendous thing. So the important thing is that you help your franchisees get into not just the first two verticals. It's my understanding someone can run a very successful, lucrative business just in those first two, but you also help your franchisees bolt on the third and or fourth vertical if they so desire.
Absolutely. What we do is we hate to leave money on the table. So, like I said, there's a ton of opportunity in the plumbing industry, and that's really, like I said, that $125 billion. We try to set these verticals up to capture as much of that as possible, and really, it's all about scaling. I mean, we wouldn't want to get a guy just starting off, a franchisee just starting off with one or two trucks into these quite yet, because we obviously want to make sure as the customers' needs come through with the drain cleaning, which is usually, I don't call it emergency service, but we call it immediate service, because, anybody out there, if your, toilet's running, it's annoying. If you don't have hot water, it's really annoying. And if your toilets can't flush, then you're like, we need this taken care of pretty quickly.
Or your washer isn't working. It's all, part of daily living in America.
Absolutely. And we really take for granted that, we turn on the water and it's, it's hot and it's there and it's cold and it's filtered and it's palatable. So really in America, we do take it for granted our water systems. And unfortunately, that is something that is, not good.
It's an essential service, and it's evergreen demand. It's recession resistant. I mean, really every residential and commercial building needs plumbing services.
100%. And that's really how we set up our models. Like I said, we really focus, and I tell my franchisees all the time, don't think a restaurant is a commercial business, because they still have, dishwashers, water heaters, all that stuff. So even if you're out there having lunch, hand out your card over to the manager. Say, hey, if you ever need a plumber, call Z Plumbers. We'll come out here. We'll take care of your toilets. We'll take care of your water heater. We'll take care of your drippy faucets. So really, and that's where we get kind of blurry. And again, we have two different models. A lot of people think, I got to be a plumber to get into the plumbing business.
Well, that was my next question. Help the audience understand, what is the role of an owner? A day in the life of a franchisee. What does an owner do? Is he or she with a plunger?
Absolutely. And we do have those guys. We have plumbers that convert their company over, and that's our owner operator model. And they want to, they come to us for our business knowledge, our connections, really that national brand and image that we're building. And then, of course, we have our executive model, which are folks who really are not plumbers. I have a franchisee. When initial conversation, he says, "I know what a plunger is." He's in MIT. He has an MBA from MIT. Very smart individual, and he's actually grown a great plumbing company just by following the model.
All right, so that's an excellent example of someone who has no construction background, no trades background. And then give an example, and then the other example that you gave is an owner operator, someone who's maybe has an existing plumbing service and converts over to the BELFOR brand.
Absolutely. And those are the folks that come in and they really want, I talk to them all the time. I talk to a lot of plumbers, and they're like, they usually call when the phone isn't ringing because, again, they're concerned. Well, what's going on? So really, those individuals, they're looking for marketing help. They're looking for business strategy. They're really looking to implement some procedures and training and things like that. And that's really what we bring to the table. Our brand president is a master plumber, and he really focuses even on our executive models. We really want to focus on that team, building a strong team for our franchisees, finding the right plumbers. I mean, we even market to the skills that the plumbers are coming in, because maybe a plumber working for a franchisee really loves water conditioning. And so we will help that franchisee market that plumber's skill level, because all of us know if you like something, you enjoy doing something, you're going to be more efficient at it and you're going to do it well. And that's where we even, kind of go down with our plumbers to find those niches that they really enjoy doing, helping in our Z's market that, really to focus on capturing revenue in all aspects and, making it efficient.
Well, Joe, you've made it clear that any one particular background isn't necessary. A construction background is not necessary. Trade background is not necessary. All right, so this show is called Smart Business Strategies. What is a smart business strategy you have to share with the audience that Z Plumbers uses?
I think looking through our verticals, best thing we do is we offer more runway for our empire builders. I mean, we want to come alongside those people who want to just not only have a plumbing business, but really own the market. And that's why we have that capability, those 4 verticals, to be able to take, start off with those first 2 verticals, get some trucks under, because really in our business, it's all about labor and about revenue. So the more trucks we can get added, then the more services we can add in. And then, you're looking at a 1 or 2 territory area that's running on all 4 verticals, really having that upper echelon capability for really making a great business.
Well, Joe, that is so interesting. And we are now out of time. So if someone wants to learn more about Z Plumbers or any of the BELFOR franchise groups, what do you recommend they do?
I recommend they call you, Anna. I mean, with your 20 years of experience out there, you're going to have the experience to work with these individuals. You and I have had some great conversations about this brand. Let's be honest, you're familiar. You've had that Trenchless Technologies done at your residence. You can talk plumbing with these folks. So I recommend they call you and they connect with you, and then you're going to connect them with me, and we're going to get these folks in the plumbing business.
Well, if they're the right fit, that's for sure.
If they're the right fit, that's true.
All right. Well, Joe, thank you so much for being here. Audience, this is Joe Janukaitis I get an A for effort, with Z Plumbers, a BELFOR group or a BELFOR company. And I appreciate you being here so much. You really did open my eyes. I've learned a lot more about plumbing services than I ever knew previously. And it certainly can be quite lucrative. Did we talk about the franchisee we talked about he converted his general contracting business to Z Plumbers because he saw how very much money the plumbing subcontractors were making. So he ditched general contracting and became a plumbing contractors. So that's really
Absolutely.
amazing.
He's transitioning out of his contracting business because he came to me and he said, Joe, every time I do these big commercial or big residential projects, I'm giving more money to the plumber with him working less time than what I'm making doing majority of the work. So he really did transition. He's in the process of kind of moving. He likes to say, I'm putting all my future eggs in the plumbing business because I know that's where I want to be. That's a lucrative area to be in. And he said, I know that I'm not going to ever have to worry about being shut down because you're essential. And it really is a very strong business that is resistant to all the ups and downs in the economy.
All right. Well, thank you, Joe, for that. And audience, thank you for being here. And be sure to come back next week. We're going to have an affordable, home-based service business that any homeowner with a car is pretty much going to need. So be sure to come back next week. Make it a priority. I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist. See you next week.
Thanks, Anna.